Hello and welcome to Hobby Vlog number 131. It's been a brilliant week this week because Angela and Rosie got back from their trip and that's just been the best thing ever. It's been really good to see them. I've had a really nice time with them and yeah, I have done a lot of hobbying, most of it not on camera because it's been repetitive things like building MDF kits or making bookshelves, which you'll see about in a short while. I did give Rosie her new fairy at dinner on the day they got back and she loved it, as you can see from the picture on screen now. That was really, really nice. She was so happy. She even named this one, called it Mary the Fairy. My daughter is a poet, didn't you know it? So yeah, a really good week. Should be a shorter video I think this week. There's not so many clips as normal, but it has been a fun, productive one. And yeah, it's not always about turning on the camera for me. I do a lot of hobbying where I'm not actually filming just because, as I said, it's repetitive and over and there's no point in just filming the same thing over and over again. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments below if you do. Really appreciate it. I love hearing from you and I do reply to every single one of them. Thanks for watching and I'll see you again at the end. Right, so I've got a whole stack here of Sarissa MDF, which I'm going to build my way through. The blacksmith's forge, the lumber mill, mining wheelhouse, a store, medium building, a hotel, and a burned out derelict barn. And then the first two that I didn't mention was a derelict shack and a livery stables. So what I'm going to do is build them up, highlight if there's any issues with any of them that I come across, but ultimately just build them off camera and then yeah, show you what they look like and show you how I'm going to detail them. Been looking forward to building these, really like Sarissa kits. So yeah, I do have way too much Western stuff now though, it's a bit ridiculous. I think I'm going to start with the medium building. Alright, I've cracked on really nicely with these over the last couple of days. This here is the medium building. This here is the shop, I believe. And as you can see, I've not put the roofs on, but they're basically assembled and ready for painting, which I'm going to do now. This here is the basically the woodworking thing, whatever it's called, and is probably the most complex, and I've paused at the point that you can see. The blade I need to paint up to be metal, and then the rest of it needs to be wood. So I've not stuck the blade in, so I can pull that out. And that is not being done in the order that they suggest in the instructions. But having said that, one thing I have found out while I've been doing it is in here you've got the other pulleys. So let me just so you've got these kind of like little kind of uprights that go here, and then there's a belt that goes between. This belt here goes between, and then there's another of these what have yous. But if you glue it all together, they're actually too close. They're actually too close. So having done it this way, I've saved myself because I found out before it all dried. So if you're going to be doing this one, what I would suggest that you do is do it like this. Put everything together and then you can get it all lined up and everything right, and you won't end up having to take it all to pieces and maybe break things when you try to unglue PVA with wood. But other than that, it's going together really, really nicely. It's a really nice kit. And then the last thing is the livery, which is being a lot of fun, and I've just basically paused on that, so lots and lots of clamps. But yeah, they're all going together really nicely. I'm pretty much at a stage where with these ones, well certainly with these three, I'm going to start painting them. So I'm going to use the normal dark brown, maybe a bit of a reddish brown on this one, to be honest, to make it a little bit fresher. But these will be done the normal dark brown. And then when that's all dry and all done, then I'll be able to assemble the rest of the cutting area. And I think I'm going to do a really fun base for this, because this is where the water is, and I'm going to do this so that it can fit in line with my modular river sections. Here's the water wheel, so that's not glued in as well because I wanted to paint everything before that was in the way. So I'll be painting this, and I'll be doing some water effects and what have you. So anyway, yeah, really good, really nice kits. If you're looking if you don't want to get TT Combat, these ones are very good. And I know that Sarissa have got a new batch of Wild West buildings that they've come out with. I've obviously got a stack left here still to do, which I'll crack on with as well. But yeah, going to get these painted up and then finish off assembling. And I'll show you what they look like when they're done. And then, as I say, I'm going to do a more advanced base on this, and I'll definitely bring you along for that. Well, hey, so I have reached the end of chapter 5, and it says hats off. This was the toughest chapter in the history of original Prusa i3 printers. Have 20% of the bears and rest for a while. So 20% of the bears is, let me pull them out and put them on this. It is 5 red ones apparently. Sorry for the rattling, trying to get into the packet. So we're going to have 5 red ones. Well, that's an orange one. So I had a bonus, didn't I? If you remember, midway through. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red ones. This is superb cinematography, isn't it? A yellow one, a white one, and a green one. There we are. So I'm going to eat those now and enjoy them. And then the next chapter is LCD assembly. So yeah, I'm going to try and get that done today as well. So I'll bring you back when I get to it. That was hairy though, that was hard work. And I really hope I've done it right, but you just don't know. I mean, this is one of the problems with assembling yourself, because you could be making stupid mistakes, and yeah, much as I read and I'm very careful. Oh, I haven't snipped off these zip ties yet, I need to do that, oops. But yeah, it'll be very easy to make a mistake. But I think I've got it right. We'll find out when I try and do my test print later. But yeah, jelly baby time, rest, and then back for LCD. Well, that was fast. I just finished LCD assembly, chapter 6, and so I have 4 more jelly beans to eat, and the LCD is on the front. That was okay. I think probably there is one thing, if you're watching this and you want some tips, there is one thing I would suggest you do. It has you adding these kind of handles or the brackets on the back, and then once they're mounted on the back, it has you placing the M3NS nuts, the square nuts, into the little kind of receptacles. I would probably suggest that you do that before you mount, because otherwise you end up feeling like you put a lot of pressure on the LCD display, and that's a little bit risky. But other than that, I think that's okay. But there is a little bit of a change in order I would probably suggest. So I'm going to go and have a look at my pizza, which is cooking at the moment. And the next step is chapter 7, which is the heat bed and power supply assembly. So yeah, in the meantime, I'm also going to eat some jelly babies. There they are, 4 more jelly babies for me. Well, I've assembled the power supply and put the heated bed on, and that was actually okay. That wasn't too bad. And I've earned myself another 4 jelly beans and eaten a very nice pizza in the middle. So I'm now stepping on to chapter 8, electronics assembly, which I don't know if that's the final step, but I think we're getting very, very close. Last assembly part, it says. So I think step 9 must be checking the print. So that's exciting. So I'm on the last assembly part. So let's get this cracking and get this all done this evening, which is good because Angela's flying back today. Very excited seeing her tomorrow. And tomorrow as well, the builders will be in. So I really do need this workbench to not be covered in printer assembly stuff. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Had another delivery today, and this was my order with Serious Play that I made with the discount code they gave me. So I went a bit nuts. So I've got a bunch more cool stuff. So I'll show you what I've got. So here we have some tufts, multicoloured tufts. These are all going to be really good for the model railway and also for any dioramas I do. I really like the Serious Play stuff. Orange, got that for Rosie obviously. I'll use that on a diorama for her at some point. Just get this packing material out. Noisy. So some small green tufts, always good to have small ones. These are cacti that are bundled together a little bit, but that's pretty cool. Some purple ones, that's for Angela, that's her favourite colour. If you're wondering, green is mine. So I'm in the gravy all the time. Some more tufts, just tons more tufts. Some really cool ones, some big ones here, they're very nice. They'll look really good on something or other. These can all just go into the stash and be picked up and used for projects. I haven't got anything in mind for any of them. Some white ones and some more multicoloured ones. And then last but not least, some stuff that I was running out of, the dead tufts. I was running out of those, so I'll pick those up as well. So that's pretty cool. Oh, there's something in this little wrap. Let's see what's in this little wrap of whatever. So yes, I also picked up some signposts, just because they were very cheap, and I just thought, you know what, with the discount I'd grab them. Obviously very easy to scratch build those, but I thought I may as well. So there we are, serious play. Really like their stuff, use them a lot. Very good quality, and that was all ordered with a discount code. I've got a nice lot of money off. Quite a lot of that was actually free because of the discount, so that's always good. And I've been cracking away on these buildings, and as you can see, I'm making some quite good progress. I got this one up to my usual state with the dark brown, the raw umber, which I'm running out of. I had to order some more, which is amazing. And then the dry brush over of the white chocolate to bring it up. And then what I've done on this one is I've took some greenhouse paint and painted it over really, really thin, watered down to give it a faded look. And I'm really pleased with it. So what I thought I'd do is, this is one of the other buildings. This is actually a bar, another bar. One from Sarissa this time. And I thought I'd show very quickly how I was doing it, because you know, these sorts of things are always good to show off and encourage and inspire, hopefully. So that's the idea. So what I've got is just house paint. It's in Bulgarian, obviously, so I don't expect you to understand what it says, but that literally is just clean white, čisto bialo. I've got an Elegoo paintbrush, which I use a lot now, the ones you get for free with the resin. And what I'm doing is I am taking some of the paint and I'm taking most of it off onto a paper towel. It's not quite a dry brush, because what you want to do is get smears. And you can go over it multiple times. So if you don't get the right result, come back. And it's supposed to look like it's wearing off or it's not been applied very cleanly. And it gives a really nice effect of, yeah, just a old wooden painted building. And that's it. I mean, it's not very complicated. It's probably quite obvious, but I thought I'd show how I was getting this effect. So I'm going to be doing this kind of thing on all of these wooden buildings, different colours. I decided I wanted to have the bar white. I will be putting an interior. At the moment it's open, as you can see. And there we are, just that quickly, that's taken it to looking a little bit whitewashed, a little bit worn, and obviously you can come in and do some other colours if you wish, or make it a bit more finished. Build it up in layers, don't try and get it all right the first time, as with everything. A little bit of patience goes a long way. And yeah, pretty happy with that. So I'll get the rest of the walls done like that. And I'll paint up the rest of the buildings. I'll bring them up probably when I finish this. I'm going to split. Actually, let me just quickly turn the camera off and change the building and talk about the log splitting place. Right, log splitting place. I forgot what it's called. Anyway, so you can see here, this is pretty much painted. I've not dry brushed it or done any additionals, but this one I am going to probably split off and do some more detail on the video. What I'd like to have done is get the river in, make it so that it can join up to the rest of my river sections, and put a base on it on this one. I'm not going to base the others. I know a lot of people really love basing their terrain. I find it to be a little bit more too unwieldy and a little bit too constraining to base everything, but this one I will. So I will do more on this. You'll see this again and again and again. I'll talk you through how I've got it up to this stage, and then we'll take it on and finish it off. But I think all the other buildings in this tranche from Sarissa are gonna just be done in the way I've just shown you with the white paint. So we'll crack on with this in detail once I've finished everything else. Very pleased with them. They look great, and I can't wait to get a good clip of them all together and show you what they look like. Alright, so let's gonna do a little bit of detailing in these two buildings. This is the livery and this is the blacksmiths. Both of them have quite a lot of stabling for horses. So what I'm going to do is use tea leaves. So I've got my big tray of tea leaves that I've shown before, and probably let's do it in here. You better see better in here. I won't do it all on camera because it's going to be a little bit fiddly, and apologies, my hand is going to get in the way. But what I'm going to do is drop some tea leaves just in there around the edges of the stable bay, like that. You're not going to be able to do it completely accurately, but try to have it around the edges is what I'm aiming for, like that. And then I have here some 99% alcohol, which I can use to wet down and break up the surface tension of the tea leaves, because tea leaves are actually quite dense. And what I've found is if you don't do this, it can quite easily be that your glue doesn't actually penetrate, and therefore you don't actually get it stuck. And I'm going to do this over a period of time. Apologies, this is not filming very well. Seems to have decided to unfocus. Let me see if I can get that focus a bit better. There we are, now you can see. And what I've got here is some Geek Gaming, his terrain glue, which is very, very watered down. And I'm just using a dropper as well, same sort of idea as I had for the alcohol, and droppering that on. And that should dry nice and solid. So I'm not going to do too much. I'm going to take my time doing this because I don't want it to warp, I don't want it to run. I'm just going to go along, maybe let that dry, do another couple of bays, maybe do another couple on this side, and spend a day or so just filling in these. And when that's done, that will look really nice. It will just look like there's some fodder and what have you on the ground. Adds a little bit of detail, but it doesn't clutter, and you can still put your miniatures inside each of the bays because you're not building it up too high. So I do exactly that technique on both the buildings, and then they're pretty much done apart from putting the signage on. Really pleased with this. These buildings are looking really well, and just these little final touches really bring them to life. And it's time for me to finish up the Orbz diorama. As you can see, I have got my shelf out. I've gone for a deeper shelf because I want to have a little bit more space, and this is going to work really well. You'll see there's lots of space on the diorama. There's a few other bits and pieces that I've got to add some more scatter, which is just in this little box just to the side here. So bottles and candles and what have you. But the main layout is as you see. So we've got a table with 4 chairs, one of them of which has the Orbz lady sitting in it. And then we've got a nice lovely Doberman, and we've got a big fancy chair with a globe and a table with a book on it. So those are the main elements that I've got printed and painted. What I'm planning on doing is using cardboard. I was going to use the poster board, but I think cardboard's going to be enough, so I've got some scrap cardboard here. And I'm going to put a wall which is going to come down to the front and then be kind of like stylized, cut off, going to the back and across the back, and then the same down here. So it is going to be an enclosed diorama, and that is going to be racks and racks and racks of books. So there's going to be bookshelves all the way up, with maybe a gallery, I think, across the back. That's what I'm thinking. I'm going to have a fireplace, I think, at one end, and I think this chair and what have you will be by the fireplace. So that will probably readjust where things are set. These are not the final positions. And then on the other side, I'll have a fancy doorway. So lots and lots of books, big fireplace at one end, doorway at the other, and the tableau in the centre. And that's what we're going to do. So the first thing that I need to work out is my dimensions, how high I want it to go. So I'm going to get a tape measure. I'm going to get a pen and draw onto my cardboard. And I'm going to make it so that it is going to be glued to the outside of the shelf. And I'm going to make it so that it's going to be able to be built off of the base and then glued in place once it's done, because I've got a few other bits and pieces I need to do to this base, and I've got an awesome idea because I want to have some carpets, some rugs, and I've had a great idea of how they're going to be done, which I'm very excited to show you. Hopefully it works, but I'll come to that in a bit. And also I need to treat, obviously, this wood to stop it from warping, though it will, of course it will warp, because it always does, but I'm probably going to just paint this, I might put some cardboard over the top of it and then put some wooden panelling on it. Those are my two options, so either paint it or wood panelling. And if I'm going to do the wood panelling, what I might do is have the cardboard actually build the entirety of this out of cardboard, including the back wall and the sides and the bottom, and then be able to slot it in place onto the shelf just for display. So I've got some drawing to do, I've got some cutting to do. At the point at which I've got something to show, I will obviously turn the camera on and show you what I'm doing. And but the first stage I need to do is actually just do some drawing, do some measuring, mark it up on my cardboard and work out how it's going to actually work. The good thing is I think that I might be able to make use of the existing folds in this bit of cardboard for a lot of what I want to do, which is going to make it a bit easier and make it a bit more structurally sound. So yeah, hopefully this is going to work. The thing with cardboard is it does warp, so I need to be very careful, and I'm probably going to need to put some strengthening and to try to make sure it doesn't warp too much. But if it kind of bends in and leans over, I think that actually gives it quite a good effect, because I want it to feel like this is a really tall, full of books is the idea. So it's going to be my first scratch building bookcase, bookshelves, so I'm very excited about that. Scratch building the fireplace. I decided not to print it because I wanted to scratch build it, so I'll be doing that. So there's going to be a really fun project. It's not going to be quick, probably going to take quite a long time, but I'm happy to get started finally. I've been thinking about it for weeks, working out how it's going to work, and now I'm happy with my initial plans. I've decided to turn the camera on and make a start. So yeah, let's get this going, and hopefully very soon I'll bring you back and show you what I've worked out, what I've measured, what I've cut, and how I'm going to do the first bit of making on this. Planning is something I don't do often, but I think on this one I need to plan quite well. Right, so I have made a start on this, and pretty happy with how it's going. So what you can see here is 3 sheets of cardboard. I have decided to do them separately, rather than try to work with the folds. The folds weren't in quite the right place and it would have probably looked a bit odd. So we've got, this is going to be the back, obviously, the wide one. This is going to be the left-hand side. Sorry, the right-hand side, that's the door. And this is going to be the left-hand side because this is the fireplace. So you can see I've started to mock up a fireplace just to put the bulk in, rather than doing too much detailing at this stage. I can put more detailing on. This is where I'm going to cut my line so that it, as I said to you before, it's going to kind of rise back away from the front and then cut off, and this is where it's going to go above the door. And then each of the uprights, each of the vertical lines, is where the shelves are going to go. So I'm going to be splitting, going to be putting a upright here, upright here, upright here, and then shelves down there. The line at the bottom is where it's going to sit onto the base. So that's there and there and there and there. And then this line here, that's where the shelves from the returns are going to go. So my shelves are going to be, that's actually 2.5 centimetres, 25 mil. So they're going to be 25 mil deep on these sides. That just means that I've just basically worked it out so that it's going to, I can butt it all up together. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I'm probably going to do actually, how I'm going to work this, I'm going to cut these lines out and make sure it all fits. But how I'm going to work this is I'm going to do one row of the shelves off camera just to work it out, make sure I'm not making any stupid mistakes. And then once I've done that, then I'll bring you along and we'll put the camera on and I will show you everything I do to make the shelves. So I'll break it up a little bit. But yeah, so the next time you see this, it should have these. I'm going to glue these on because that's where I want. This is the door frame. This is the fireplace. Glue those on, get them cut, and get it mocked up so that I can see that it definitely looks how I want. Then I'm going to have a go at putting together a bookshelf. Once I've got that working, I'll bring you back and show you how I'm going to do it. So yeah, very pleased actually to be making a start on it. I stared at this for a little while, and then I thought, you know what? If you're going to do something, just do it. So here we go. So let's get cutting. Cut these shapes out here, and then I'm going to start making some bookshelves. Okay, so the first stage I've done a practice and it's working, so I'm going to show you how to get to this stage. And yeah, just going to go through this step by step. So first of all, as you can see, I've started making up the bookshelves, and what I've got is I've got a long upright glued in place and then shelves every 3 centimeters. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have my pencil and I have my ruler, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on this line here, which is where the upright's going to be. I'm going to mark every 3 centimeters. So let's get that done. And then with those marked, I'll line across the entire piece. There we are. So now we have where the actual shelves are going to be glued in. What I've got here is I've got an upright. Now the actual height of these is 1.5 centimeters, 15 millimeters from the bottom is where I'm starting, so that this can be how I can glue it to my shelf. So I've had to trim the height of the cardboard down by 1.5 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is the same thing. So I'm going to, and this is a little bit repetitive, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on this where my shelves are going to go. So just every 3 centimeters, place a mark, and that will then 19, 16, counting in base 3, always fun, 4, 1. There we are. And do the same so that I can draw the lines across, because what we'll then do once I've got these on, I will be able to start fixing this in place, and I'm using a mix of masking tape and PVA. So there we have the length, which has all of the where the shelves are going to go, and that is going to be able to be glued in place there, and it's going to work really nicely. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take my masking tape and get some scissors, which I have here. Going to trim off that end because it's been left, and so it's not going to be very sticky. So you need this to be really, really sticky, so you need to be very, very careful you don't handle it too much. And I won't film all of this, I'll probably skip a bit now, turn the camera off. But what I'm basically going to do is put a small strip of masking tape between each line, like that. So we have a masking tape here, and I'll put one in each of these areas. Yeah, when I've done that, the next thing I'll do, which I will also do off camera because this is going to be a little bit tedious. These are too short, as they are. Do I have one that's the right length? I do. So what we then need is to have our shelves, and our shelves are going to be the distance here, which is 10 centimeters, and I'm not putting a shelf right at the bottom, obviously, so I need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 shelves. So I need to cut out 8 more lengths like this, and I'm using the same dimension, so that's 3 centimeters. So no, 2.5 centimeters. Apologies, 2.5 centimeter deep shelves that are 3 centimeters apart. So we need to get strips of the cardboard cut and then slice them down to the correct lengths, 10 centimeters, and get a whole bunch of those. And we're going to need loads and loads and loads and loads, and loads of these lengths. It's going to take a lot of cardboard, this, but it's good because it would only ever be thrown away anyway, so it's good recycling. So what I'm going to do now is cut the lengths of the shelves and put the rest of these pieces in place, and then I'll bring you back and show you the next step. So we've got all the shelves and I've put the tabs on the side of the upright. Next thing to do is I'm going to seal off, apologies for the noise, I'm going to seal off the front edge of the upright. So again, just using masking tape, run it down the edge, get your scissors and slice it off neatly like so, and then bend it over at 90 degrees all the way along, so that you're covering over the gap, and then fold it over and press it in place. So that will mean that when we come to paint it, it won't have the splits. I actually forgot to do that on the first round, so I'm going to have to go back and add it on. We're going to do exactly the same thing on the edges of these shelves. But the next thing that I'm going to do, just to show you how it works, and then I'll go off camera again because it's very repetitive, is two things going to be added to each shelf. First, another tab very similar to that one, and that's just going to go at one end like that. And second, a longer tab, which is going to go on the bottom, like so, about halfway up, and like that. So what you're going to end up with is, and let's do the wrapping of it as well, just because then you'll see exactly what each of them will end up looking like. So what we'll then do is we'll come along and mask across the top, or the front edge as it will be. So put your masking tape on, cut it flush, fold it flat across the top at 90 degrees, and then fold it again and press it down. So what we're going to end up with is something that looks like that. So I'll get that done on all the other 8 of these. We're nearly done now, and then I'll come back and show you what I do for the final step. Right, now we come to the final part of this step. So I've got some PVA here on a plate, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the PVA down each of these lines. So down the horizontal. You don't need to worry too much about being massively accurate if it goes a little bit over, because you do want it a little bit wide. So we're going to do that. And then what we'll also do is across each of the shelves where they're going to go into the wall. So let's get that done. Of course, we're not doing the bottom one. And then last but not least, we're going to trace across each of the lines on the upright. Nearly done now, which is a good thing because I need to hurry. I'm running out of time for this crafting session. There we are. So, with those drawn on, I have like a tool here which has a flat edge, and what I do is I will stand this in place down that line, making sure to get it right first time, stand it up, and then using the flat edge, press in and press down so I get a sharp 90 degree, because what I don't want is bowing or I want it to look nice basically when I paint it. I want it to cover up nicely. I don't want these to be as obvious as they probably will end up being. So yeah, just get yourself a little sharp knife, sharp edge tool like that. And you can see they go in very, very quickly and easily. It's not the hard, it doesn't take long this. We then take our shelves, carefully bend each of those to 90 and mount them in place and do the same thing. And just work your way down. You work your way from the top because otherwise you won't be able to do this pressing very easily if you do it from the bottom. So yeah, we'll put each of these in place and then let it dry. So that is how I am making my shelves. I hope that's been interesting and helpful and useful. I'm going to get the rest of these shelves in and then go and spend time with the family because I should be there now. But once you've started doing this, if you leave masking tape lying around, it gets dust on it and then it loses its sticky, then you just have to tear it all off again, which I didn't want to have to do. Though of course if you have to, it's not the end of the world. but this doesn't take too long. So yeah, that way you have your shelves. So that's how I'm making them. I'd be interested to hear anyone watching this that's got a different technique. It'd be really, really cool. So I've kind of just made this up as I go along. Making videos is funny. I don't really watch many crafting videos. I make a lot of the stuff up off my own bat. I know there's a lot of techniques for doing this. A lot of people have done this sort of thing before, and maybe, just maybe, I should have watched some of them and picked up some tips. But hey, where's the fun in that? There we are. Press it in nicely and then leave it. So I'm going to stop recording now, finish these last few, and then what I'll do after this is I will do all of the rest of the shelves, which will take me a little while because there's quite a lot to do. I need to do above the door and over the side there, and I've got the whole of the back to do as well, so there's quite a lot to do. So I'll get all of the rest of the shelves made and then bring you back for the next step, which will be after I've finished making all the shelves. So yeah, get this completed, and we're back shortly with the next step. Quick update on where I'm at with these Sarissa buildings. They're coming on really, really nicely, as you can see. I've assembled them all now. The last one that I assembled was the pit head, the mine head, which is here. You can see that's assembled and painted. I've not yet done the roofs, I've not yet done any of the weathering or the base, and I've not put the words on it, the letters on it, which I'll do on camera because I want to show you a little bit about that, and I'm going to talk about that a very brief bit in this clip as well. So we've got the crystalline general store. This one is pretty much done. You can see, including its words on the front. We've got the slinger, which is, as you can see from the, is a little bit of a bar and ladies' establishment. We have the hotel, which I haven't yet done the words on, and undecided about the interior, but that's good for now. I'm not sure what to call it, basically. Any suggestions, please fire them into the comments below. We've got the ruined house here, kind of falling apart house, and we've got a derelict barn as well, which is cool. Then the blacksmiths, which is good, is there, and then finally the livery. And I've just realised that I was missing one building. I was staring and staring, looking for it. Of course, it's the watermill and log cutters. But I'm going to do that in a separate video, so I'll leave that out of this collection for now. But they've all come on really nicely. This one is particularly cool. The roof pulls off in 2 layers, so you've got access in underneath there, which is good. I'm still in the process of doing the T for inside, but you can see how nice that's looking. I've still only done the one side. I've got to do the same on the other, but you can see what a good effect that gives. Just makes it look a bit dirty, but they're definitely, it's fine to stand models on. So yeah, really pleased with that. So the thing I want to quickly talk about and focus on is these. These are the Sarissa templates, which I picked up. Now, they're pretty good, but they're not ideal. Let me show you the two that I've worked on. So the slinger has come out pretty nicely. You can see that the letters are clear and precise, and you can read them. However, you can see just how much trouble I had here on the general store, and particularly you can see in this little gap where there's not much space between the top and bottom and then where I want to put the letter in. So a couple of things I could do differently. I could have done the painting and assembly steps, so I could have done all the painting separately, including the letters, and then glued that surround on after I put the letters on, and done all the letters and the painting before I put it anywhere, so then I would have been able to get these templates in flat and without having trouble. But the problem with that is I like the weathering, I like to do it all together. That's why I paint it together, so that it looks a bit more natural, and it wouldn't have looked natural, I don't think. I wouldn't have liked it, and then I would have probably ended up with paint going over the top of my letters. So I've just gone for, oh well, it looks a bit knackered because they changed the name. So the way that I managed to resolve that gap is I've actually had to cut the templates down. So these were actually one sheet. So I very carefully got scissors and sliced across, and that's meant that I've been able to put these in to smaller spaces, and so if you think about it, it will curve like this when it's pressed up against a higher relief item, and that means that the template is away, which means that the paint leaks to either side. So having these cut like this made it a little bit easier, not much, not 100% easier, but a little bit easier to actually use. So that's my review on them, and they're pretty good, but you might need to find that you have to cut them down. So yeah, really nearly done. I'll try and finish off the pit head this week and get stuck into doing the rest of the interiors for some of these buildings that I want to do, get them finished off. But pretty much very pleased with how they look. I think they're really good buildings. They went together so quickly, didn't take long to actually assemble, and now the fun part of painting and weathering is I'm just settling into it and not rushing it. But yeah, pretty cool. Well, I did get these planted out into bigger pots, but decided, well, I didn't film because Rosie actually helped me, and I preferred the idea of having Rosie helping me than focusing on getting the camera out. They've not transplanted superbly. It was only yesterday I did it, so they're still bedding in, but I'm hopeful that at least a couple will survive. This one's looking okay. A couple in here are looking okay. There's Xena outside on the patio. Oh, come on, come back. And these ones looking okay, and these ones looking okay. So I pulled out quite a few plants, as you can see. Need to keep my eye on them, need to remember to keep watering them. I'm quite forgetful for that sort of thing. But yeah, it was lovely having Rosie helping me. She helped me with putting the potting compost in and just supporting them, and it was really good. It was really nice. So anyway, there we are. I will keep reporting on the progress, and hopefully they will go and grow well. Well, there we are. A longer video than I expected it to be, but that's just because I talk too much. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that the learning I'm doing live on camera is inspiring you to maybe try new things. This Orbz diorama with the library is going to be trying out a number of new things I've never done before, which I'm going to be experimenting with on camera and bring you along for the journey. I'm very pleased so far with how these bookshelves are looking. It takes a bit of time, it's a bit laborious, but if you chuck a video on or a film on, you can just kind of go away. It's repetitive, multiple processes that are the same, and then you look up and suddenly you've done quite a lot. I've also been cracking on with my 22 minutes this week, a bit better. Missed last week, wasn't very good. This week I've done better. I'm really enjoying painting up my bust, which I'll do some progress report on that probably next week. I'm doing a slightly different style and quite enjoying it. So yeah, it's been a good week. The best part, of course, is the family being home. So yeah, family first, of course. Family and health is what matters. That's the thing. So thanks for watching. If you made it this far, really appreciate it. Really appreciate every single one of you watching my videos. And thank you. And let me know in the comments below. I'll wrap up by saying, as always, thoughts go to people that are affected directly or indirectly by the war that's going on at the moment over in Ukraine. Really can't believe it's still going on, frankly, and that yeah, it's an incredible time to be alive, obviously, with everything that's gone on the last few years. And I hope that everyone out there is safe and well. And there it is, my outro. As always, please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.